Yo, Phantom Thieves! I don't know if it's roguelike month yet, but since everyone is talking about Hades 2, I might as well be talking about Noita. And I'll ask the difficult questions, the answer of which they don't want you to know. What is a Noita? Is it edible? If I went to the store to buy a Noita, would they give me anything? Is this Noita already inside of me, and you, and everyone else? It's hard to respond to such questions, but it's certain to say that by playing this game, you will uncover that the Noita was always inside of you. This game just allows it to come out and play, that's all. You can experience getting Noita'd unlike anywhere else. Noita is a very ambitious form of hardcore Terraria, and if you disagree, I'd like to point you in the direction of its map.
What kind of place is this?
Look at the size of this thing, and ponder, if it's not Terraria, then what is this map for? This game features alchemy, the science of ages past, with lore for everyone to see deeper than some have yet been able to grasp, and all exclusively written in Minecraft enchanting table. Noita is a proper roguelike, which means that the only thing you're allowed to carry between rounds is your knowledge. And this knowledge is imperative for your survival. Knowledge like, did you know that the fire is hot? In some games we do a little quick save and then we jump into the fireplace to see if we actually take damage from it. Sometimes it's a big surprise that we do, not here, not in Noita. It doesn't take long for anyone playing to realize that this game is a great analog for real life. If you ponder long enough what it is that could kill you in a real scenario, the response is usually probably anything really. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Fear the elements, and also carry a flask of inert liquid at all times with you and bind it to your closest hotkey. This game has conditioned me like a dog to, upon being covered in any damaging liquid, fly up into the air while also spraying water upwards, which is sometimes a bad idea when dealing with electricity. Apart from fire and electricity, you should always beware. We've got flammable oil, toxic sludge, lava, acid, explosions, whiskey, and whatever mix of those potions is down there in that pit, because a potion storage got blown up in the crossfire, and I really don't want to risk falling in there. This game thrives on collateral damage. Every cavern, every mine, every enemy, every resource is one stray tennis ball away from igniting, exploding, and producing a chain reaction, killing hundreds of your enemies before you even get the chance to fight them. As long as you are not part of those unforeseen casualties, the scales will always tip in your favor. One more piece of advice: expect the unexpected. Sometimes the game starts me with a polymorphine potion instead of water. A potion that I forget about and spray over my body in an attempt to cleanse myself, only to die in one hit barely seconds later. And it should be obvious to anyone watching right now that all the liquids, gases and forces in this game are simulated in real time. I have to commend them on this. That is very impressive, because I know how other games run when handling any kind of large simulations. Once you have the patience to let the fire burn out and trigger any chain reactions that might be in your path, we can talk about enemies, of which there are many and varied. I won't pronounce their names because I can't, and because I haven't seen half of them. In spite of my 70 plus hours of gameplay, I've yet to beat the boss of the game in a normal run. But I've learned that enemies can bleed, and trust me that it's relevant, because while my greed knows no bounds, it's generally a bad idea to collect your gold if the enemy bled acid or lava before their demise. And there's another thing to note when fighting enemies. The best fights in this game are like ambushes back in the Middle Ages. You don't want your enemies fighting back, you want to ideally get them before they have a chance to retaliate. Now, assuming that everything in your path, every movement in the dark, is now making you paranoid, we've probably got to talk about how you can remove that paranoia from your life. After all, Noita is a wizarding game, so spells and wands are our bread and butter, and they can go from unimpressive to insanity very quickly. The first thing you will notice about your wands is that they have a lot of stats. We'll go from top to bottom. Shuffle wands will cast their spells in a random order. They usually come with the advantage of having better random stats early on, and they can be useful for carrying extra spells with you. Spells per cast is how many spells the wand will cast at once before entering a cast delay. The cast delay will then need to pass before the wand keeps casting its spells. Once all the spells have been casted, the wand will have to recharge. Mana and mana recharge speed are pretty self-explanatory.
You have no mana!
Spells cost mana to use, and the wand provides it. If a spell costs more mana than the wand can handle, then the wand is of no use. Naturally, we will have to wait for the wand to charge up, if we use all the mana. Then there is the capacity for spells, a random spread in degrees that is added to any cast so that a wand with high spread will become hard to aim with, or in turn a shotgun. Suppose you make it out of the first area alive and then get to the Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain is very important as it is the only place in the game with a guaranteed full heal, a spell recharge pickup for all the limited use spells, a wand shop or a spell shop which alternate with each other, a choice of unique perks, and most importantly, the ability to edit your wands freely. This place is a safe haven, for the most part. The f*** did I do? So you're allowed to experiment with your wands to your heart's content. I just hope you're not very peculiar about the outcome of said experimentation. Chances are that you're not going to make very powerful wands in the beginning. You're limited by the spells you found and the stats of the wands in the early areas. But allow me to offer you a glimpse of what could be achieved with the most powerful spells. The greatest spells in the game. The chainsaw or the digging blast. Don't believe me? I didn't believe it either until I learned how to read. As you can clearly see, they have negative recharge time. The chainsaw even has a 0 cast delay. What does that mean? Well, it means that you can do this. Not satisfied with the machine gun effect that you just got? We can do better. Forget about the digging blast because the chainsaw is now the best spell in the game. Tired of shooting only spark bolts and tennis balls around? Would you like to turn every one of those bullets into a projectile of mass destruction? No problem. The chainsaw sets the cast delay of the block it's currently in to 0. What does that mean? It means that the huge delay granted by those powerful magic bolts is nullified as long as they are cast at once with a chainsaw, using any of the multicast modifiers scattered in the game. This effectively turns your SMG of a wand into a CRAM.
I'm completely and mentally stable. Oh, hey, look, a civilian airliner.
As long as you have enough mana to cast whatever it is that you want to cast, assuming you now have 0 cast delay and 0 recharge time on your wand, you will now be able to cast your spell 60 times a second. Assuming that your computer can process it, for every frame of your game, one nuke flies out and demolishes another enemy nearby. Of course, sometimes it's impossible for you to always get your wand to pelt out nuclear bombs. For one, you'd most likely have to be immune to explosions, because there are only 2 Noita players in the world. Those that blow themselves up at point blank and those that retreat to a safe distance and still blow themselves up. And sometimes the mana costs are just too great. Not only to imagine the nuke scarcity. We're not living in 1985. When those conditions are not available, what you need to do is get yourself a digging wand. The golden standard for digging is the black hole. but they are limited, in which case we just have to make do with some luminous drills that we have standing by. If the recoil of your machine gun is not enough to help you with moving around, then I suggest creating a teleporting wand. I, for one, have not reached the point in time when I am comfortable with the wands I use for teleporting to also be my offensive ones. That privilege is only reserved for the upper gods of the Noita universe. To begin your ascent on that path, you could very well try your hand at going down in the depths and killing the game's boss. But what kind of a playthrough would that be? I want to plunder all of this world, loot every secret item, find everything, and for that, the first thing that we need to do is climb out of the holy mountain. Chances are that the first boss type enemy you'll encounter in your run is Steve. Say hi to Steve. It's at this point in the game that you will need to remember the existence of your melee button. Even I forgot about its existence. If you're not comfortable with your kicks, then I've nothing that will help you. Go back to the top and practice on the minecart. But let's say you make it. Let's say that you have the patience of a monk and an adequate amount of black holes. Then what? Well, you can go to the boss in the pyramid. If you have made it all the way to the 4th zone and were reasonably confident about clearing it of enemies, then you have my seal of approval, as those were the conditions I met before beating that particular boss. Why are all the other bosses besides the final one good to defeat? Because they usually guard powerful wands and spells. Sometimes they even guard divine orbs, which hold very useful rewards. I think some of them even hold the scarce power-ups necessary to raise your HP bar. Noteworthy fact? Burning and any other type of damage over time effects that may ail you seem to damage you for a percentage of your life instead of a specific numerical value. I found this one in one run when I have managed to have over 400 hit points. While I've not yet personally gone to those areas, this game provides something else which is only limited by the power of your computer. This game has the power of the multiverse. Going far enough eastwards or westwards and digging through the walls set on either side of the map will reveal alternate maps similar to your own, each with their own rewards, challenges, and bosses. Becoming the god of the multiverse is the ultimate goal that I and every player of this game will at some point strive to achieve. And now that I'm done explaining my unattainable goal, there is something else that I'd like to share with you. If you're ever to come in contact with the fungal caverns on the second level to the left, you will notice these pink piles on the ground. I'm yet to inform you that in this game you have the ability to eat. And you have the privilege to eat just about anything as long as you are willing to deal with the consequences. Once a pile of rats that I killed got set on fire, cooking them into cooked delicious rat meat. Now I will no longer require to go to my local bootleg shawarma and kebab place, because I can get my cooked rat meat all the way back home. Anyways, eating the mushrooms on the ground will understandably cook you thoroughly. But if you can get 180 seconds worth of the debuff, it will instead go away and retcon a piece of your reality with it. This outcome is random, but apparently it can be influenced by holding a flask of the liquid you wish to reality shift. Now I had to find this out the hard way, as I accidentally made it so that all the water in the world has always been lava. I don't think I need to tell you how bad this was, because I was about to head into the 3rd level, where everything is covered in snow or ice, which upon detecting the heat from the random lava pools started melting and producing a chain reaction that created more lava in a positive feedback loop, turning my winter wonderland into a massive hellscape. You can imagine that I didn't survive long, as I caught fire, quickly switched to my water flask by a reflex embedded in my spine, and showered myself with more lava, in an attempt to put out the fire, before I truly realized what was happening. That and many more ways for you to get Noita'd are here, but alas, I've yet to pierce the skies and let the heavens bear witness to my powers. So join me on my not so recently started journey to become the arcane god of this world, and maybe get me to my next greater goal while you're at it. God damn it! That piece of shit just...